I really feel that as women, we can really support and empower each other. And there's so many different qualities that we can be inspired by. And this is what this podcast is about for me. And I think I just love to chat. And who doesn't love it? There's something in the power of just women getting together and chatting. You're like, because we're going to have this on different platforms like YouTube and Spotify and Apple. So it'd be great if you're like, you're at work and you're doing your work and you've just got your headphones in and it feels like you're chatting with us. And at some point we'd love to hear from you and hear your suggestions about episodes you want us to kind of record. We've got lots of exciting content in store. Okay, welcome back to the InspireHer podcast. We are here today, and the topic that we're wanting to discuss is self-love. And now this is a huge topic, isn't it, ladies? We're only going to do a short bit today, and I'm sure we're going to have loads of episodes exploring this. But I just wanted to open up the space. Anything you want to share around self-love with us today?
I'm happy to start. I'm so passionate about it because I got it all wrong before what self-love was. So because I've conquered my self-love later on in my age, I'm so excited to talk about it.
Well, that's an interesting thing you bring up, Claudia. What isn't self-love? I think that's something we could talk about today because you said you got it wrong before. But yeah, continue with what you're saying.
No, that's the question. Because the truth with self-love, you cannot know self-love if you don't have self-awareness. Meaning, we think when I was young, I was always very confident, right? I was always like, I thought I was the, like very, very Scorpio attitude kind of thing. Like I will, I get away with things. But there was definitely a connection with, I will love myself only in terms as much as I was accepted or I was standing out from the crowd, or it was always connected to something external. So
your outside world, isn't it?
Outside world. And it was crumbling every minute. Because from the moment someone will tell me, oh my God, you're this and you're that, I'll be like, yeah, I told you so. But as soon as someone will judge me and make me feel bad, I will be like, boom, down.
So there was always seeking out external validation, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This is how we're raised with society. You have self-love as much as the way you look, what you do in life, what do you achieve, what do you do in life? It's not self-love. It's connected to society. It's connected to external validation.
Yes, because there is a need for us somehow that we need to belong. So this is also a way for us to belong.
Yes.
Actually, it's really goes against like control the word, but it's really kind of like, that there shouldn't be any validation from the outer world. It should be first within ourselves, because our inner world is a reflection of our outside world.
Of course. But I also believe, very strongly believe that self-love is the hardest thing to achieve, because most of us cannot love themselves, because really we don't really know who we are. Like we don't really know what really makes us happy, joyful, what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are. Self-love comes when you really have that courage to look at yourself in the mirror and say, who is Claudia? Like, and also being aware of your weakness and not pretending to be strong or to create a character that works in society. But really, you cannot love yourself when you don't.
But coming back to what you're saying, Claudia, I don't think it's hard. I think it's that we've lost it, because I think we're quite accepting of ourselves, especially as babies.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's just been lost. We've been programmed throughout life or conditioned from our environment, others, to not feel worthy or love the self no matter what. So it's like you're coming back to yourself, isn't it?
Yes.
You're rediscovering.
That's what when I say hard, meaning not. It's actually, it should be the purpose of our life, and it's actually what the most wonderful, most powerful thing. Because the day everything crumbles down, right, and it will happen in everybody's life. Something just all the external things that we've done to be, the good wife, the good girl, the good job, the good this, the good that. Try and look pretty. Try to do this, and when all of that crumbles down, and you're like, who am I? And the moment you look at yourself, you realize your real strength, your real weakness, you don't look at them with any judgment, but you actually start being grateful, and you're like, wow, I love this person. There's nothing that can happen outside of you that will crumble you down. Once you have that love, that awareness, that honesty, and it requires a lot of humbling. And also, sorry, Giada, and I just want to say that also, and that's why we're doing this podcast, right? A community that makes you feel safe in your vulnerability, in your weakness, that allows you to, you discover that you're this and that, and then we are here to support one another, support people, say, yeah, that's okay, that makes you, you know?
Yes.
Sorry, Giada.
No, it's okay, because actually, ultimately, it's about really having that courage to really show up for who you truly are, to discover your real nature, your real identity. Like we said, up to now, most of the time, majority of us from young age, we have been conditioned to operate a certain way to fit into society. But the more you actually are able to courageously showing up for who you are authentically, then you also can embrace more that self-love, that self-acceptance. And that, I believe personally, through my own experience, it comes also with embracing everything that you are, the parts that you love the most, and also the perhaps uncomfortable parts. We all of us have our light and our shadow, so it's about really having this integration with these two parts within. It's about loving everything that we are.
And that's why it's hard and it's humbling, but if you can do it, and you're surrounded by people like us that've been through it, if you're surrounded by a community of women that know exactly what you're going, when you discover your vulnerability, your weakness, your fake strength, the strength that things that you think you like. Sometimes I ask to my clients or my student, what brings you joy? That's a simple question. What makes you happy? People always connected with, they either react like, oh, what kind of question is that? Or, I know, I'm happy. Yeah, of course I'm happy. Or they, there's always something. It's a very simple question, but it's the hardest one to answer. And I remember someone asking it to me at one point in my life when I thought I was and the guy, I was talking and talking and talking, and then he looked at me and said, yeah, but are you happy? And he kept going, like this, the voice went down. But are you happy? Meaning, you doing all of this because it's making you cool, because you are happy. And that humbles you down, because you're like, I remember I didn't even know what made me happy at that time. And most of us will be in a situation where we doing things for, again, society or family, or, we associate happiness with buying a house, getting married, or whatever, But really, it's something much more simple than that. And the moment you just sit down with yourself and you say, what makes me happy? What kind of, that simple question.
Yeah. And I think the things that are coming to my mind when someone's like, well, what is self-love, or how do I implement that? Some of the things that I think can help is being aware if you're quite critical of yourself or others, because I noticed throughout my journey that I would be quite harsh on others or have quite, yeah, be quite critical, but that criticism was 10 times worse on myself. And often I'd operate from a place of my ego, which looking back at times could be quite fragile. And I could see how I wasn't being compassionate towards myself. So that was eye-opening for me. And then when I started doing the work, I remember feeling this real cringing resistance, like, this is gross. Like, have you ever heard of mirror work? That was really eye-opening for me. And I remember when I first, it's Louise Hay, she talks a lot about it in You Can Heal Your Life, the book.
By the mirror as well, and look at yourself even naked as well in front of
yeah. And I remember just being like, wow, this is really raw and uncomfortable, but it was so like moving for me at the same time. And I think everyone's journeys are very different, but I'm sure we can all relate to those moments where you feel that like real raw authenticness coming through, isn't it?
Yes. And I wanted to add in what you're saying as well, that it's super important as well, because we always hear like, what is this self-love? But how can you, most of the time, all of us have done it in the past. We tend to wanting to feel that love with another person. But we first of all I feel like we need to understand, first of all, how do we need to be loved? Because first of all, if we don't know how we need to be loved, how can we expect another to love us in that way? We need to be clear. How would you love yourself? What can you do to love yourself more? And first of all, for me, there is no love without respect. So learning how to respect yourself, it comes also with self-love. If you don't respect yourself, you're not fully loving yourself. And that way, you won't be able to attract people that they can also respect you and love you, who you are.
Yeah.
That's so powerful what you just say, Giada. Oh my God. I truly believe that. And it's so true. There was this sentence I heard once, and I always say, I've been with my husband for, I don't know, 18 years, something like that. But I never thought I would, by the way. But people always ask me, what's the secret? And I say, I don't know the secret. But the truth is that we are like a happy couple. I think they are truly two happy individuals. Like, the other person is not responsible for your happiness. You are responsible for your happiness. But yes, the other person makes your life wow. But if you are not happy, cannot be relied on your companion, because we are in brackets alone and responsible for our journey. And so many times, like Giada was saying, people look for a relationship to fulfill that void that we'll never find.
Never.
Because we as women, we have this, just the way society raises us, but we have this sense of not being enough ever, and everything is external. Like, we are so disconnected with our instinct, with what brings us real joy, with what we want to do with our body. Everything is on an external point of view. And true self-love, sometimes when people are depressed, but when you're down, people say, oh, go and get some pampering and facial. That is the great self-love, but it's not the real self-love. Again, we're going into that external, like, let's go on a pamper, let's go on a head, let's go and get some shopping, let's go and get some bag. Again, you fulfill that void with something, that a product that you buy from outside. We always, get that Gucci bag, and there's nothing absolutely wrong with it, and I love all of that. But true connection, true breathing, true feeling, simply don't shop it, don't eat it, don't drink it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Sit down and feel it.
I wanted to say something now. I wanted to say actually something about that. Through the embodiment, when you embody your self-love, there is no, you're not going to think about it, and you will automatically you will make those decisions that are going to support all the love that you have within you. So this is when you embody something. So you do deserve love. You do deserve that. You are born worthy. You are born love. but are you actually embodied in that self-love? Because when we are embodied, we will make the choice that are in alignment with that. I see a lot of people that they're saying, okay, I want to feel more of that self-love, but then the action don't match the desire. And I think that's important. You need to be able to really follow it through, even if it's about to leave a situation that perhaps is toxic, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's work, whether it's health. That is also something that you will need to do in order to really give that love to yourself.
Yeah, and I think you can start with the small things, because I think sometimes it might overwhelm people, like, oh, I need to get out of the situation now, I need to leave or something. Whereas I think break it down and think about, like, I like calling them kind of rituals, like they could be your routines as well, but what small things could you be doing throughout your day and I think where you can be a bit more selfish, and I mean selfish in a good way. So like for me, it's like the routine that I have before I go to bed. I know that when I don't do that, I just don't feel as great, and I might then scroll on my phone more, I might go to bed later, and I'm just not being boundaried with myself, and I know that that's setting me up for not the great day the next day. So what small things in your day, and maybe that is getting your nails done, maybe that is really important to you, and like you said, Claudia, it doesn't have to be, okay, I'm just going to fill my life with that now for a short period of time and then I'll feel a bit better. It's kind of like putting a plaster on it, isn't it? It's like the little things that you're doing consistently for you that you know help you and make you feel good.
I mean, it's you guys know about my butterfly journal, but when I went through a severe depression, no, it wasn't severe. It was a moment of depression. I call severe something much bigger, but I was through. I call it a breakup of my life, and I was very attracted by very superficial things, and I still love anything, but there was that internal self that I was, I was earning very good money. I bought a house, I had a great family. I was living my dream. But there was something not happy within me, and that's when I introduced the butterfly journal in my life, which totally changed. Like Jessica, like you were saying, start from the small thing. So nothing at that time was making me happy because I forgot what made me happy. I was doing everything, which you have to go sometimes in life. You have to buy a house. You have to work your ass off. You have to do things that you just don't have the time to. Like my son told me once, "Mommy, smell the flowers." And I was like, I'm on a rush. Like, I'm not going to smell. No, Mom, you need to smell that flower. And I had to do it, right? And I smelled that flower. And it took 30 seconds of my life. But I was like, my God. So that gave me the beginning of the butterfly journal. Like, sometimes we think what makes us happy is so much bigger than what really is. And what bring me back to my joy and to my sense of self was flowers and butterflies. And I remember a time I had this huge garden in my house, and I kept on hearing birds, and nothing was making me happy. Although everything from outside was incredible, even my son's smile, which never happened in my life. So I remember thinking, okay, I remember someone said to me, just do what makes you happy. And I remember thinking, I don't know. Nothing makes me happy anymore. Like if my son's smile doesn't make me happy, nothing makes me happy. So I walk all the way to the park, just being present, like present. And I remember seeing the most beautiful flower, like something that made me go, which I didn't feel for such a long time. It was a flower. And that butterfly in the stomach that you feel when, I don't know, you see your son or you meet your husband, or, but you see the sea, you're there and you see a landscape, you're like, or it can be a song, or can be something. And when I felt
you had that beauty, that in the present moment.
I was going to say, because you bring the mind back to the present. Whenever we're experiencing as well all this depression, and first of all, the mind is not in the present moment. And I also believe that when you go through that, it's also because your real soul identity is not really in alignment with who you are, your nature, or perhaps you're going through a transition time and you need to shift from that identity into a new identity.
Yeah, and reconnect. And so noticing without judging, I remember saying, take a picture or just write in your journal. Like it's called the button, which is very different from a vision board. Vision board is so grand. Everything I do in my life is always very grand. You know, I do this vision board. I want to achieve, I want to be a millionaire. That was the opposite. The butterfly journal is not something that comes from your mind. It comes from your body. It's that butterflies in the stomach. That could be a flower, could be someone saying a word, could be, I remember, so the curl, like I'm seeing the curl of your hair now, Jessica. I see the curl of my niece hair on when this curl. And I remember, and I put that down on my butterfly journal.
Yeah, and I remember the first time you described the butterfly journal to me, Claudia, was like this moment, and it really resonated with me, because then when I started to practice that, I had those moments and I was like, oh, this is it, and I started to feel really excited. And it's that gratitude feeling, isn't it, where you're just like, oh, this is quite a bliss feeling. It's not even necessarily happiness to me. There's just something that I'm just present, and that it's something I experience in meditation, or I have it when I look at the sky and when the sun is setting and it's really pinks and blues and purples. I have that real dreamy moment.
Yeah, it's so like it's a body mind connection. It's you're not judging. Why a curl makes me feel like that? There's no judgment. There's like, and so you either take a picture or you write it down, and every day you notice something, and from noticing one thing a day, I remember feeling, oh my God, look at that, the color of that door, but nothing that makes sense in a way, more like, this is what I want to surrender myself with.
And it's interesting that you mentioned your son was the one that kind of prompted you in that moment, because that's a very kind of childlike state, isn't it? To be very present and to be very inquisitive and noticing and seeing things like we're seeing it with fresh eyes for the first time.
That is so true.
Beautiful.
And still now, when he sees me, I always have the tendency to be super busy and do 25 million things, of course. Still now, like the other day was like, Mommy, look, I made a bag house. And I can't remember what I was doing. I was like, Mommy, it's so beautiful, full of flowers. You need to see. Look, this bag is pregnant. It just, the way he was describing, he knew that I needed that right there. And I left everything and I went there and we just played with the bag's house, you know, like it's just that child in us. You know, that we just don't have time. I mean, I don't ever have time. And children have that gift that I always say to him, always skip this, you know, like, and that's when you reconnect with yourself. And that's when I remember falling in love with me. I'm like, I'm all of this. I'm all these flowers. I'm all these butterflies. This is Claudia. It's not the millionaire big achieve. Yes, that as well. Nothing wrong. But after all of that, and I want to achieve a lot of things in life. But after all of that, why are you achieving them? To spread the butterfly journal, you know?
And you felt like you was shedding some identities that they were no longer in alignment with you, so that you could elevate yourself higher.
Yes.
And also feel like the self-love journey is so, like, it's a deeper, we can deepen it every day more and more. It's never gonna end. It's not like, okay, now I love myself and that's it. No, it's never going to end. Continuously loving yourself. And you're going to fall in love with yourself more. You're going to deepen that self-love more and more every day as you grow, as you develop yourself. Because we're always developing, we're always growing. And so the self-love is growing as well. Because we see things with different eyes and we feel things with different eyes.
Can I say something? The biggest achievement with the self-love, I will never forget it, was not taking any compliment or any insult personally anymore. Like, as much as people wouldn't make me feel like, oh my God, you're this and that. Because I remember, if you receive a lot of compliment, right, you tend to go like, oh my God. Or if people start insulting you, you go, having that feeling of, it's okay, that's your opinion. And I'm glad that I brought this to you, your perception of me, it doesn't define me.
That's interesting.
It changed me completely. Nothing was personal. I mean, there'll be moments.
Yeah.
There will still be things that trigger you, of course, but nothing to compare to before. Like, people now can literally insult me to the core. They can tell me things that before, as a Scorpio, I would have, don't know what I would have done, but people can insult, apart from my son, which I still become a monster, but can tell me anything. And I'm thinking, that's just your projection of me. That's not me.
But it's really interesting you say that, Claudia, because for me, part of my self-love discovery was actually being able to receive compliments, because I realized before I wasn't allowing myself to take it in and actually be thankful and just, oh, that's really kind of you. I would go, oh, it's because I washed my hair, or, oh, do you think that? Do you know what I mean? I'd often like maybe put myself down, or like not actually be able to receive it. Whereas now I'm like, oh, thanks, like I love it, and like I want to compliment others more, because like it's just like I just enjoy it. It's just not, it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel good, like it's appreciating or showing others something that I feel inspired by in them.
That's an incredible, you made a very good observation, because I was feeding my ego before.
It was it was like, oh, I am,
you were wanting that external validation as well, and kind of like was attached to that. So once you actually brought the focus within, no matter what else they were thinking about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. What you're saying, I had to learn to receive compliment the right way. Like you say, like before it was more like, I'm the shit. Like I'm just like, look at me, look at me, look at me. Now that doesn't happen anymore. That is like, I'm so, like you say, I want to spread this. I'm so glad that you still struggle with that, in a way of, because I was so ego fed before, I still tend to be a bit more like, okay, it's okay, just be grateful. I tend to be more like, thank you, be grateful, because I'm always scared of that ego part that gets on the shit, because it's just still there. You know, it's just part of my person. That's my personal journey with compliment. And I'm trying to really, we're two people living together, you know, like if I'm on stage, the ego can just like, it's not even the ego, but can just be an energy on the stage. But I know what you mean. It's taking them genuinely, like, oh my God, I'm going to allow myself to feel good, you know?
Yeah, and I noticed now that I feel like I get a lot more compliments just because I feel a lot more joy in myself, because I'm not like seeking it. I'm just like, oh, I like doing my own thing, and you know what I mean? Like, you know, when you're just happy, people are just like, it's more about your energy. Like they might compliment you on your clothes, or like, but it's more, sometimes I think it's about your energy, isn't it? Your vibration, and you're just like, oh, thanks, like that's lovely.
And the receiving energy is our feminine energy. The more we receive, the more we are embodied in our feminine energy, our feminine essence, who we are as a women. So that is the key, actually. Talking about the feminine energy, that is the key. Receiving a compliment, being able to receive anything that the life has to offer, the universe, the abundance, the love, also receiving the love.
That is so true, Giada, what you say. Stay in your feminine energy when you receive compliments. Stay on the abundance, stay on the flow, and that's the opposite of the ego and the you know, what I was experiencing before. And so that's been my journey with that. That's so powerful, you just said.
Yeah.
Should we each give a tip on how to practice
should we end on that? Yes.
You start, Jessica.
How
do you practice self-love?
Tip, I would say start doing things for yourself. So whether you're in a relationship or you're not, start dating yourself. So stop waiting for someone outside of you to do those things. If you want to go and do something, if you want to go and do it with a friend, you can, but start doing the things. And it doesn't mean necessarily going out and spending money. It could just be things at home. You really wanted to watch that film that you're interested in, or you really wanted to read that book, or you've been putting off having a bath for ages. Do those things that really kind of nourish and enrich you. So start dating you.
Love it.
Love that.
And yes, I totally agree with that, with what Jessica said. I love that. And I wanted also to add, start doing things that really lit your heart and your soul, and that do that more often, because those things are those things that they will help you to unleash more of who you truly are, your real identity. Even if sometimes through your mind you might think, oh, why am I supposed to do that? Or maybe through the logic, those things might not really make sense. But it's about really, following through that heart guidance and really start doing those things more that makes you happy, give you all that joy, and just becoming who you really are, unleashing yourself.
I would like to give one, the butterfly journal. Start noticing what makes you feel, things that you forgot. Don't think it, just feel it. Get out of your head into your feeling. Anything that makes you like this. But the other one I would like to say, and I'm going to be quite rebel about it, anything that kept you, that good girl conditioning, everything that you've done to be the good girl. Like if you listen to your favorite song, go and dance crazy in your room, do anything do that one thing that you always wanted to do. Could be a song, could be dancing like crazy, could be walking barefoot in the park. That's another self-love thing that I believe we should do more. Dance, walk barefoot in the park, go under the rain, get wet under the rain, play with children, stay with animals, stay in nature, with loud music.
Yeah.
Again,
dance,
manicure and pedicure right there.
Yes.
And
dance. And I think I feel like we could continue, but like self-love for me is also what you nourish your body with, your mind, the foods you eat. It's kind of everything, isn't it? But again, please don't overwhelm yourself. Just start small, and it's going to be a journey. There'll be this back and forth. You might take a few steps forward and then a few steps back, and it's being compassionate with yourself that's okay. It's a journey. It's not always going to be linear. This has been such a lovely episode, ladies. And I
for me lately, self-love is been napping.
Yes, love that.
From insomnia, I nap. I just lay down and nap with no pressure. Yeah, sorry. I wanted to share, especially for new mothers. Nap. Just surrender. There's a way in which, as a mom, I surrender to really give myself love. Because all the worries I do, I close my eyes and I imagine a big bean bag, and I put all the worries in that big bean bag. My child, my this, and that. And I close the bean bag and I give it to an angel, someone that you really trust. It's my mom in the sky, and I give them the bean bag to look after her just while I run by the beach. And I just let their hair touch my hair. And I maybe take a nap, and I just go in the water with everybody looking after the children or anybody, and I go back and I get my bean back, and it's lighter.
Oh, I really love that. It's beautiful.
Yes. Losing all that worries and any emotional,
Yes, as a mother, the attachment, the guiltness.
Yeah.
And your inner mind chatter as well, talking, which is so important. So whenever you find yourself having that critic voice, bring the mind back to the present moment. Obviously, yes, acknowledge the thoughts, and then what could you be grateful for in that moment in your life? I'm sure there are so many things, even like the little things that you can be grateful for, even just the fact that you can breathe properly with no problems, the fact that you choose the food that you want to eat, that you can drink water.
And also, just as a final thing in relation to that, Giada, that sometimes these things might feel strange initially because it's unfamiliar. Like you might start writing or journaling what you're grateful for, but you might not be connecting with it, and that's okay. Sometimes you just have to keep doing the thing, and then eventually something will shift in you. Just keep going. You know, if we've been on a program of self-hatred or criticism for a long time, it's gonna take a bit of time to get there.
I remember at the beginning when they were telling me about this grateful, I was like, yeah, but I'm not feeling it. Because if you don't feel it, you know, yes, you might doing it, but you're just doing it automatically. But the more you do it, like Jessica said, the more you actually start feeling it, and then you start to embody that feeling. And then after that, I actually, oh my gosh, when I start feeling so grateful, it's a beautiful feel. Like when you feel it, it's just like you magnetize everything in your life, because that vibration of gratitude, oh my gosh, I think is one of the highest one. Obviously love, but the gratitude
is the number one thing.
Yes.
Vibration. And can I say something? If you ever feel lonely, if you ever feel like this is too much, listen to our podcast. Write down what you would like, any questions that you have, or what you would like us to talk about. We're like a family. We're literally taking everything away once a week in the afternoon to just talk. And instead of doing it on WhatsApp, we're doing it here. So we'd love to hear about anybody, any comment, any advice, anything. You know, that we do it as a job as well. But we also want you to feel like a community and anything, and share with us, please.
Definitely, I love that,
and
Claudia. That's an amazing. Yeah.
Share with us some of the things that you do to kind of connect with self-love, and we're always open to hearing ideas, because we're here to inspire each other, but we want to be inspired by you as well. So do connect with us. We're going to be having an episode each week. We're going to be exploring different topics. If you've got some ideas of things that you'd like for us to discuss, please do let us know. And we look forward to seeing you again next week.